Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we unleash a wave of mech suits in the rundown.
Plus, life finds a way. We've got a behind-the-scenes look at Jurassic World.
We're gonna have to drop the can. Are you ready? 1, 2, come on.
And then we stay on the island for a review of Jurassic World. Also coming up, we have some old dinosaur action with a classic cartridge review of Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis. Vic goes skiing down Yeti Mountain, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EV Games. I'm your host, Marissa Roberto, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. I don't need a mech suit to bring you the rundown. I just need a camera and a full body wax. Here it is. Square Enix is bringing some multiplayer mech madness to the PC. The publisher behind Final Fantasy has announced Figureheads, an online team-based shooter where players arm themselves with futuristic mech suits. Strategy will play a big part in the combat, but Square Enix hasn't yet revealed exactly how that will work. Expect more details before Figureheads comes out in Japan later this year. The publisher hasn't said if the game will be coming to North America, but they have been branching out with more Western-focused content in recent years. They're currently working on the new Tomb Raider and Deus Ex games, and the new details on those will be revealed at E3 next week. And if you need more mech mayhem, the second season of the anime series Knights of Sidonia is finally coming to North America. It will be available in Western territories exclusively on Netflix starting July 3rd, following its debut in its home country of Japan earlier this year. Picking up after the events of Season 1, the second season will continue the story of a group of humans fighting for survival aboard a massive starship. Think of Battlestar Galactica, but with more mech suits. We'll be sure to check out the new season when it premieres. In the meantime, you can watch our review of Knights of Sidonia Season 1 on EPN.tv. That's it for the rundown. Look who it is to join me. Oh, what's happening? What's that?
Hotline coming in. Walter Winchell reporting live.
Oh, great. So we can get right into it then? Are you ready to go?
We're getting into some super nerdy Japanese stuff today.
I have been enjoying a lot of anime lately, especially on Netflix, and Knights of Sidonia is one of those shows that I feel like I really need to pay attention to. There's some shows on Netflix where you just can let it kind of just wash over you and just go on with your day, and you can cook stuff in the kitchen while watching the show. You can't do that with the show.
Okay, well, every other show you've been able to do that with. You do all your stuff while you're watching TV. I know, that's how you get your watching done. I've never been seduced by any of this stuff, and I don't know if this is going to be the moment for me. I'm going to go on the record and say I don't think it is.
Okay, let's move right along now to Figureheads, because this is a new one from Square Enix, and I don't want to say that it's going to be my thing, because it's probably not going to be my thing.
Well, it's funny because this has nothing to do with what Square Enix has done historically. Final Fantasy is really their defining series.
Yeah.
But here what they're trying to do is something a little more traditional, Gears of War-ish, or maybe more recently Evolve-ish. Evolve didn't sell that well. I don't think Titanfall sold quite as well as they had hoped it would sell. But Square Enix thinks they're going to make something kind of special here. The thing is, this makes me really want Vanquish 2, which still does not exist. I don't know where it is. People go out there and make it. It's from Platinum, our old friends, but the original Vanquish, one of the great shooters of all time. Maybe if they take a page out of the Vanquish playbook here, I'll be into it.
We've got to get moving though, Scott Jones.
We do. We got to get into our plane and head back to Isla Nebula. It's Jurassic World behind the scenes. Take a look.
Oh, no, hold your fire. Hold your fire, do not fire.
Blue, stand down. Stand down. We were essentially living John Hammond's dream. We're a fully functional park, 20,000 people a day, Jurassic World. It's real. It's like Universal Studios and Disneyland meets Dubai. People from around the world have come to the island to see what was originally John Hammond's vision. And then, in the mythology of it and the backstory of it, their interest in the park has waned, and fewer people are coming to the park because dinosaurs have been around for 20 years. They're not that cool anymore. And so we built this bigger, faster, stronger dinosaur that's really, really scary to get more people involved and get people excited about coming back to the park. And of course, when you tinker with nature and you create an animal for your own amusement, it doesn't go well.
You just went and made a new dinosaur? Probably not a good idea. there is a dinosaur that may or may not even really be a dinosaur because it's a genetically modified hybrid. And it's a dinosaur that has been designed by Dr. Wu. And there's a new strand of DNA that's been created that is a hybrid of many, many, many different kinds of dinosaur DNA.
She was designed to be bigger than the T-Rex.
The character that I play, Dr. Henry Wu, started out as a chief geneticist at Jurassic Park and has now worked his way up to be running the Hammond Creation Center, and he's full of pride, and he's just very pridefully explaining to people in the beginning of the movie the new things that they're exploring. They're exploring new things because they have taken the technology to a really extreme depth. And that extreme depth leads to death. It's a hubris of mankind that creates something that at first seems so unbelievably wonderful and fascinating and delightful, gives people entertainment and delight, and then turns very, very bad at the end.
You got no more boats. You don't have enough guns. In the other movies, they talk about, especially the first one, the whole idea that Hammond has was to make a Jurassic World. And so suddenly here we are at Jurassic World, and the rest of the movies are what a big mistake that would have been. But then now we are in this movie here in Jurassic World, and you realize that they were exactly right.
We can't lock him in.
Come on, close it down.
Somebody talk to me. What is happening?
The way they've written, the kind of playfulness the whole script has, the conversation these two kids, Zach and Gray, they have, or the Benta, Owen, and Claire have. This is very playful, but there are serious stuff going on beneath it. But it doesn't bog down the audience with the serious stuff. It just keeps the temperament of the narrative very playful. And that's what I loved about it.
The majority of the folks that have been cast in this movie, and then obviously Colin himself, we were all kids when Jurassic Park came out. And that experience for us of watching that movie changed our lives, and for many of us made us want to become filmmakers, become storytellers, become actors. And so to now be here making Jurassic World, it's crazy, but it's also very moving. We are all extremely giddy at the prospect of being able to tell this story now.
That Chris Pratt. Oh, the movie comes out today.
Wow, I think he likes Chris Pratt. Don't go anywhere because after the break, Vic and I dust off the Sega Genesis for a review of Jurassic Park. Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time for the Classic Car Review Alert. Meena.
What the hell kind of sound is that?
It's a Classic Car Review Alert sound.
Meena? Sounds like an alpaca trying to make a BM.
All right.
How about this one? Ooga. Ooga.
Okay, that's enough. Meena.
Listen, here's today's Classic Car Review. It's of Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis from 1993.
Today's classic cart is Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis. This one is a scary one. This one is a difficult one, but what I do love about the game is that you can choose your difficulty settings. You didn't really have a lot of that back in the day.
Yeah, you could choose your difficulty settings, and I think the back-of-the-box feature that everybody buzzed about when this came out in 1993 for the Sega Genesis was that you could play as a dinosaur. You could play as a velociraptor in this game, which was kind of a rare thing in video games back in the day. And you could also play as
Dr. Grant.
Dr. Alan Grant, who is quite the daring-do adventurer, much more so than I think in the movie, actually. He's leaping and jumping and shooting all kinds of poison darts or sleeping darts.
Fun noises every time he lands on any platform or slides down. He's always like, ooh. Ooh,
I liked the music back in those days. They all sounded like Janet Jackson type music. You know what I'm saying? It's like Rhythm Nation versions of these things with leaps and
so
sort of chip bit type of things.
Yes.
And it gets all kind of funky as you're being chased and gobbled by dinosaurs in this thing.
With very creepy undertones because the music is creepy. This is a scary game. I get scared easily, I know, but it's a creepy game. It's a scary game.
What scared me was the impossibility of actually navigating through some of the ledges and the tricks and the traps of this title. I kept falling to my doom.
Yes.
The spitter dinosaurs kept just ganging up on me. Well, I'd watch my health just deplete to nothing. I was cursing like mad at this game. It's very hard again. It's one of these things where it's like, we know we don't have a very long game or a very interesting one. We're just going to make it incredibly difficult, so it feels like you're spending time with it.
That's the thing. It was incredibly difficult, and I will admit, I put it down to the easiest setting to try to pass these levels.
Doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter. It's still really hard, especially, those dinosaurs that just grab onto you and they don't let go. I could not figure out how to shake them off.
Yeah. You do go into the museum, you do go into various parts of the jungle and through caves and things like that, but you cannot ever really know where you can and cannot navigate through because of the vagueness of the art style, It really becomes frustrating. They did a good job with the models.
Right.
They actually tried to create kind of a 3D look to the models, but the backgrounds and the environments are terrible in this game.
Where I was most confused really is knowing which weapon to use at which time that would best suit my situation, because there are a lot of different weapons that you need to navigate through, and I love that you have to collect all the ammunition for all these different weapons. I love that.
But it's everywhere.
But it's everywhere. But you have to page through, and you have to page through as a dinosaur is launching at you.
Yeah.
And I just always felt like I didn't have enough time to get it right. I always wanted to get it right, and with this game, there was just never that moment for me.
It seems so random where you could jump to and when you could jump, and it felt like some of the leaps you could take a couple of levels down and still survive, and sometimes you would die if you fell one level, or it just felt really weird. And then all of the mechanics are twisted on their ear when you play as the dinosaur because it takes up more screen space with pixels, and just navigating and everything becomes infinitely more frustrating, but he is also more devastating. He doesn't have missiles or anything like that. So that's what they needed to do for the next levels, put missiles on it.
For the Velociraptor? Yeah, absolutely. I understand why this was a hit at the time, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just not one of those games, and unfortunately, I'm not going to go back to it because I really didn't have that much fun. I might have back in the day for sure, but not now.
They haven't really knocked it out of the park with a Jurassic game. Maybe something cool will come with Jurassic World. We'll find out. What are you going to give the classic Jurassic Park for the Genesis?
Gets a 6.5.
It gets a 5 from me.
Oh, to the future. Mina. Okay, you know what? That's enough of that. After the break, we've got something good.
That's right. We've got our review of Jurassic World.
Mina.
You just went and made a new dinosaur? Probably not a good idea.
EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dungeon Hunter 5, which you can play for free on iOS and Android right now.
On my quest to find the best skiing game on the iOS App Store, I have found Skiing Yeti Mountain, and this is very much like the old Intellivision skiing. I guess a lot of these skiing games are. You basically drag your thumb across the bottom of the mountain and you try to avoid the flags, and new crazy, quirky little challenges keep coming up. I like the art style, I like the sound and the music of this thing. It's mindless and it's free, and basically the controls couldn't be any more simple or easy to get into. There is some challenge because you kind of have to slow down on some of your slaloms in order to make it past some of the flags and stuff. I think it's a decent skiing game. It's certainly no Alto's Adventure. I'm going to give Skiing Yeti Mountain a 7.5 out of 10.
Vic and his skiing Yetis. Now let's go back to dinosaurs. The year was 1993. One movie reigned supreme that year, and it was Jurassic Park. Now, 22 years later, the dinosaurs are back. Are they as exciting as they were back then? Here's EP's review of Jurassic World.
We're gonna have to jump.
I can.
Are you ready? 1, 2, come on.
You pays your money, you buys your popcorn, and you come for the spectacle. That's the Jurassic Park motto. The new one is out, Jurassic World. We have seen it. Did it make you smile? Did it entertain you?
There were some moments where I was entertained and I laughed. I don't know, I guess I was expecting a lot actually coming into this thing because it was hyped for a long time, and just seeing Chris Pratt in those movie posters or even in the trailers just riding his motorcycle with those raptors, dang, that looks good. Not only Chris Pratt, but I mean the raptors too. Everything looked amazing and you really wanted to jump in. When you jump into this movie, you don't see a lot of Chris Pratt at first. So you kind of just feel like, okay, well, maybe he's not like the indie of the movie.
Weren't you? You were like,
well,
okay.
I love him. I really do love
Pratt?
him. You know, I respect the crap out of this guy.
Yes.
He's done so much, and I just love him in Parks and Rec, and I love the way his career has just completely taken off.
Yep.
You just went and made a new dinosaur? Probably not a good idea.
There's also some other movie stars in here that you see, but you see her, like you see Judy Greer a lot now. I see her face a lot in a lot of different things, and I think this woman is fantastic. She's playing the mother here of 2 kids that are being sent off to spend some time with their aunt in Jurassic World. So of course you still have like the 2 kids premise, like you need that in a Jurassic Park or Jurassic
This is
World
a movie
movie.
that's absolutely tailor-made to attract a lot of children, just like the first Jurassic Park did. And I think that young kids that are into dinosaurs will probably have a jolly good time.
A jolly good time.
I mean, the whole premise for the movie is a winking nod to our own jaundice, our own skepticism about these huge kinds of dinosaur event type movies. This is 4th Jurassic Park movie now, or the 4th or 5th one?
Okay, but this is meant to be like the 3rd.
We've seen a lot of them, and it takes a lot to get us surprised and a lot to keep us entertained. And there are a couple of really cool spots in this movie where I was like, yes, that is amazing. Particularly this really fantastic pterodactyl scene.
Oh yeah, the avian, just as soon as those birds come flying in, you just felt like you're along for the ride. But that's like 3/4 of the way into the movie.
Right. But I had this thought that I had a couple of thoughts actually. Colin Trevorrow's the director, and he proves once again, after a long sea of directors, that there is only one Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
He tries his best to emulate some of the Spielberg camera moves and moments and things like that. Never gets there. The script is nowhere near as good as the first Jurassic Park. And the other thing that I thought about is Jaws and its subsequent sequels. Every single one of them just worked to diminish the genius of the original. And here again, that's exactly what's happening with Jurassic World. I like that there's an appreciation that we are going to be skeptical, that we're going to be entertained by this, and it works really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I don't fault the actors. I think both Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt do admirable jobs with the roles that they have and the performances they give. But it's just a dud of a film. At the end of it, it just feels so superfluous, so unnecessary.
It's not funny.
There were a lot of moments that definitely felt unnecessary for sure that could have just been taken out completely. But I wanted to believe in the story. I wanted to believe in these characters. So what I did was, while I was watching the movie, I just turned my brain off.
Yeah.
I just turned my brain off, and I was able to enjoy it a little bit more, because if I didn't, and if I tried to dissect every little thing, like I normally try to do with movies that we watch, I just felt like I would have been completely bored.
Sure.
And I would just always see the things that I don't want to see, and so I tried to just hang on to the moments with the dinosaur, with this hybrid dinosaur that they made that is supposed to be so insidious, that's so scary. And I feel like they didn't give enough time to that dinosaur. Like we did spend on screen, like we did spend some time with it, but I didn't really get to know its fear and its glory.
They tried to Jaws-ify it and let us leave a lot to the imagination. Listen, they do sort of kludge together a new hyper-proto-dinosaur based on, some DNA and stuff like that. And that's kind of this movie as well.
Right.
It has great DNA. It's been kludged together. There are a few fun pop moments. It definitely uses the 3D. But I just felt like, I didn't really need to see this movie.
Oh, but man, you did lean over a couple times like, wow, that was so Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
when Chris Pratt.
That is definitely what I will say, is that now after seeing Pratt in this, I'm okay with him being our new Indy, if that's the direction that Hollywood decides to go.
You ever wonder why there was a job opening?
He's Indian. I feel like this movie is completely setting him up to be Indy. And I felt like as I was watching him act this out, I felt like maybe he was a little disappointed in the movie as well. Like he saw it being not as great as maybe he thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I just feel like I'm connected to him in some way, Chris.
I think
We
you're,
should be
you're
Facebook
writing
friends.
your fan fiction. What are you going to give Jurassic World?
Jurassic World gets a 6.
Yeah, it gets a 6 for me too.
Dinosaurs, after 22 years, still scary. And up next, Twitter question of the day, one of our most unusual Twitter questions ever, after this.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. This time now for the best part of today's show. It is the Twitter question of the day. It's my favorite part.
It's my favorite part.
Anyways,
for sure.
this one comes from Kyle Chenard. Hey, Kyle. He asks, do you work on weekends? Very good question.
Yeah, well, of course we work on weekends. This is a 24-hour-a-day job, just like being a Ghostbuster. Listen, don't sign up for this unless you can handle it. Make sure you're not in a relationship. Make sure you don't have a family. You're going to neglect those people, and you're going to be doing this all the time. I mean,
there is a lot of neglect happening.
There's a lot of neglect. All of my cats are so neglected, and I have.
Don't say that.
I have
That's not true.
I haven't mated with anybody, and I'm not married. but part of it is because of this job, Victor Lucas.
Well,
Thank you.
That's why his wife is his ex-wife, right?
Whose ex-wife?
Your ex-wife.
My ex-wife is well, there's multiple ex-wives.
He always forgets about her, I know. If you want to catch up on everything to do with this episode and past episodes and Vic's Basement, we have it all at epn.tv.
That's a lot of stuff there.
I know.
And listen, coming up on the next episode of EP Daily, we've got an interview with the people behind the scenes at Inside Out. That's Pixar's latest movie. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox,
Uh-oh, she's looking at us. What did she say?
What? Oh, sorry, sir. No one was listening.
We are talking about Disney Pixar Inside Out. Now tell me about creating the cast of characters for this film.
Well, when we created the cast of characters for this, we looked at our kids. Our kids seem naturally happy all the time, so it seems natural for the lead emotion to be joy. And after joy, of course, you have anger, you have fear, you have sadness, and then there's disgust.
Tell me a little bit about who this Riley character is and why we're going to grow to love her so much.
Oh, Riley is kind of like all our kids, everyone's kids. They have their early days as little kids, very happy, running around, daddy, 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 mommy, 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 and then over years, that changes.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
Did you guys pick up on that?
How do you bring life to these emotions?
Well, the one thing that we learned about emotions is that they're actually a primitive set of reactions that help us navigate through life. Such that if you're feeling like you're not being treated fairly, you feel angry. But you choose what to do with it. So that immediately led us to create these characters that are separate from Riley. The guardians, they want what's best for Riley. Anger does not want Riley to be angry all the time.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
Airplane.